Welcome back to Previously on Earth, as we dive deep into the legends of history. In 20 years, a minor nobleman from a small Mediterranean island nobody took seriously rose to become Emperor of France, the greatest military commander of his era, and the ruler of most of Europe. He rewrote the legal systems of a continent, redrew borders that had existed for centuries, and created the modern concept of nationalism by accident while trying to conquer everything in sight. Then he lost it all, twice, through catastrophic overreach and the determined opposition of everyone he had ever beaten. This is Napoleon Bonaparte, the most complicated man in modern history. Napoleon Bonaparte, from nobody to Emperor of Europe. Napoleon Bonaparte was born in 1769 on Corsica, which had just become French the year before by coincidence. He grew up as an outsider, Corsican enough to be mocked by French aristocrats at military school, French enough to have lost the independence his family had briefly fought for. This produced a young man with something to prove. He had an extraordinary capacity for work. He specialized in artillery, the most mathematically demanding branch of the military. He studied obsessively, and he was brilliant at it. He commissioned as a junior officer at 17, and France was 1 year away from the revolution that would give him everything. France in the 1780s was a powder keg. 3 estates in clear visual contrast. 97% of people paid all the taxes. The financial crisis. France bankrupted itself supporting the American Revolution. The king needs to tax the nobility. They refuse. The Estates General is called. The Third Estate arrives expecting to be heard. They are immediately sidelined. The explosion was coming. The French Revolution destroyed the world Napoleon was born into and created the world he would conquer. It swept away the aristocratic hierarchy blocking his advancement and created a military that promoted on merit rather than birth. The revolution accelerated. The terror began, the guillotine working constantly. Anyone suspected of counter-revolutionary symptoms risks execution. The revolution was genuinely under threat. Austria and Prussia invaded. The Jacobins believed they were defending the revolution. The terror killed approximately 17,000 people. It ended when Robespierre himself was guillotined by people who feared they were next. His first break came at Toulon in 1793. A 24-year-old artillery officer correctly identified what every senior commander had missed. He repositioned the artillery to a specific hilltop, dominating both harbor and ships. The British evacuate. Toulon falls. He was promoted to brigadier general immediately, and he was just getting started. The Italian campaign of 1796 and 1797 announced Napoleon to the world, given an underfed army nobody else wanted. He moved faster, struck harder, and thought further ahead than any opposing commander. Speed was his primary weapon. His tactical innovation was simple and devastating. Find the gap between 2 enemy armies and drive through it before they combined. In 14 months, he defeated 6 Austrian armies, knocked Piedmont out, and negotiated his own peace treaty. He was 27. Next was Egypt. He proposed striking Britain indirectly by controlling the route to India. He intended to document Egypt while conquering it. Birth of Egyptology. He conquered Egypt militarily and scientifically. The expedition produced the Rosetta Stone, the key to ancient Egyptian language. But Nelson destroyed the French fleet. Stranded without naval support, Napoleon could not hold the territory. The campaign failed. He abandoned 30,000 soldiers and returned to France alone. Somehow, he spun it into a hero's welcome. Narrative management at its best. He found France's government in crisis. Politicians looking for a useful general chose Napoleon, thinking he would be manageable. Napoleon nearly bungled the coup completely. He froze, stammered, and was nearly arrested by angry deputies. It was a disaster. His brother Lucien saved the moment by calling in soldiers. The coup succeeded despite Napoleon almost wrecking it. By the end of the day, he was First Consul, effectively ruler of France, and already making clear that no one was going to manage him. Between 1799 and 1804, Napoleon rebuilt France. The Napoleonic Code gave France a uniform legal system still in use today. It established equality before the law and property rights. It remains the basis of legal systems in dozens of countries globally. He created a central bank to stabilize the currency and manage debt. French government credit improved dramatically under his rule. He built a national education system, the lycée, because he knew firsthand what access to education could do for a talented outsider. He needed trained officers and administrators, and he wanted to reward talent over birth. Merit was the new rule of France. The Concordat of 1801 reconciled France with the Pope, restoring the church's role while keeping its property nationalized. He was running a country, overseeing legal reform, and preparing for war. People reported he slept 4 hours a night. It was true. Napoleon's coronation in 1804 was political theater of the highest order. including the moment he took the crown himself. He placed it on his own head, then crowned Josephine. It was a statement. His power came from himself and the people, not God. 1 year later at Austerlitz, he demonstrated why that assertion had merit. He faced combined armies who outnumbered him. He invited them to attack. He lured them into attacking a deliberately weakened position, surrendering ground he intended to retake later that day. Then he seized the high ground they had abandoned and cut their army in two. Genius in action. 2 emperors destroyed. Austerlitz remains one of the most studied battles in history. Napoleon was 36 and at the absolute peak of his powers. Between 1805 and 1810, Napoleon reshaped Europe faster than any force since Rome. Prussia fell in 2 weeks, unstoppable. But expansion brought problems. The continental system backfired. It hurt France's allies more than Britain. Trade died. It triggered a guerrilla war in Spain that drained French resources for 6 years and drove neutral countries into opposition. The Peninsular War bled France of 300,000 casualties. Napoleon called it his Spanish ulcer. It never healed. France was bleeding. Wellington arrived, the opposite of Napoleon. He won through careful logistics and an absolute refusal to take unnecessary risks. Napoleon and Alexander had divided Europe at Tilsit, but the alliance collapsed over trade. The continent was too small. Russia needed British trade. From Napoleon's perspective, both an economic threat and a personal betrayal. War was coming. June 1812. The Grande Armée, the largest force ever assembled, crossed into Russia. Napoleon expected a quick victory. Russia refused to fight. They retreated, burned everything, and let the space and winter do the work. No food, no shelter. At Borodino, 70,000 died in 1 day. Napoleon hesitated. He held back his imperial guard and missed the strategic knockout. He reached Moscow only to find it burning. He waited 5 weeks for a peace offer that never came. Alexander ignored him. The winter was coming. He retreated in October into one of the coldest winters in Russian history. The invincible emperor was being destroyed by ice, snow, and starvation. Only 120,000 made it back out. The greatest military catastrophe of the modern era. Napoleon raced back to Paris to suppress the news. The aura was broken. Europe turned on him immediately. By 1813, every major power was fighting France simultaneously. Napoleon's new army was mostly teenagers. Veterans were dead. At Leipzig, he was defeated by an army twice his size. Some battles cannot be won with genius alone. France was invaded for the first time in decades. His marshals refused to continue. Napoleon abdicated in April 1814 and was exiled to Elba. The world thought it was over. Napoleon started planning, but he escaped. He reclaimed his throne without firing a single shot as his old army joined him. The Congress of Vienna was in absolute disbelief. It ended at Waterloo. Wellington's defense and the unexpected Prussian arrival ended the dream. The French army broke. The Guard retreated. It was over. They sent him to St. Helena, 1,200 miles from anywhere. No coming back. He spent 6 years dictating the story he wanted history to tell about him. He died in 1821. His final words were France, army, and Josephine. The man who conquered a continent died a prisoner on a rock in the Atlantic. Napoleon changed the world more completely than almost anyone. His legal code is still the basis of laws across the globe. Meritocracy, but he also killed millions. He destabilized a continent for 20 years and failed to build an empire that survived him. Both are true. Both are his legacy. He spread revolutionary ideas, popular sovereignty and civil equality, accidentally creating the nationalist movements of the next century. His campaigns are still taught at every academy. He became more powerful as a myth than a ruler. His tomb is a global monument. Hero, tyrant, or something more? Drop your verdict in the comments. Subscribe for more animated history. See you in the next deep dive.